Who's this? Where are you calling from? 716.
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Calling from Dan from New York.
Dan from New York. What's on your mind, Dan?
Well, I'm just wondering if the Democrats are ever going to step up and really pick up this fight, because they seem to be weak in almost every way. And I hear you talking about it every time I listen. And I'm just a little disappointed in them. And I'm wondering if they're going to step up and represent the party that they're supposed to, the party of the working class and the party of the people.
What, in any specific on any specific topic, or are you just talking generally?
Well, in general, and I know that over the past couple of years, I've heard you talk about why aren't the Democrats fighting? Why aren't the Democrats bringing up things? Why isn't Nancy Pelosi saying anything? Why isn't Chuck Schumer doing anything? And I think it's just a trend of weakness, and I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen in the upcoming election.
Well, I'm worried about what's going to happen in the upcoming election. I am in a constant state of worry. I would say that I don't think whatever it is that you're expecting or hoping for from this generation of leadership in the Democratic Party, I don't think we're going to get. I think that
Go
there
to
is
Joe 30330.
Oh God. I do think that if you wanted to be optimistic, you could find some optimism in the younger generation of the party, and in sort of the rise of folks like Bernie Sanders and even, I think, to a certain extent Elizabeth Warren as well, and just where
AOC.
they have, yeah, exactly, and how they've been able to pull the party, not just pull the party to the left, but they have a different perspective on how to fight, how to work politics. Now, I don't know.
Well, hang on a second. Let me ask you.
Well, let me just finish this. I don't know if Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
I don't know if Nancy Pelosi is just bad at politics or is actually good at politics and just has a radically different set of political ideas than I would want her to have.
It's the latter.
It could be. It could be, but we're not. But I think it's a little bit of both, and probably largely irrelevant, because either way, they got to go.
All right, I want to ask a quick question. I was listening. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, when Jeff from Georgia called, and he said that the party is going to resist becoming the party of the working class, because they fear an activated and an active working class set of voters. And I think it was might have been Jamie that agreed with Jeff from Georgia. Sometimes I hear a voice in the background and I'm not sure. I think Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, I think the Democrat establishment, even though they could handily win by activating working class voters, they fear an activated working class, because it would tend to upend the establishment.
I think they probably fear anybody who would in some way be a threat to their power. Yes. And so, I think my sense was in the 2016 election that they were trying to fashion a presidential win with a coalition that involved these Republicans in the suburbs. And they thought they had it. And it turned out they didn't. And yeah, I think. Yeah, you're right. I think that they fear. I don't know that they say it so explicitly, but I think that anything that strikes them as losing their power in some fashion, yes, I think is problematic. I don't know how deep their assessment of it is, but I think they're allergic to that without a doubt.
You just have to follow the money. I'm going to answer this because you said my name caller. Thank you.
Yes.
Like the Democratic and the Republican parties, not to sound too adbusters about it, but they are the left and right wings of neoliberal capitalism at the moment. And actually we did a really good, Yeah, hell yeah. We did, well, I wasn't in it, but Sean did a History is a Weapon episode with Matt Crispin from Chapo Trap House, where they talk about why the U.S. never had a workers' party like other countries have, like most of the European countries. The Democratic Party was always this bizarre cross-class coalition. So if we want to really realign it into something, and they have to do this weird dance, right? They pretend to fight for the working class, but that's only part of the coalition. So they also have to represent the interests of the bosses, which are diametrically opposed to the interests of the workers, et cetera, et cetera. So if we really want to realign the party and redraw the electoral map in a way that will A, win, and B, fight for progressive reforms for real instead of pretending they want to, but actually not, actively standing in the way in many cases. We need a new coalition, and the moneyed interests that fund them right now cannot be part of it. Like, it's fine if people with money, if rich people, if bosses want to vote for Bernie Sanders, we'll take it. But we cannot be pandering and catering to their interests.
All right, Sam, I have two more things.
Oh, God.
One, I'm afraid might offend you, and the second is more of a personal request that might go off the grid.
Take your time, caller, and be very detailed. Ignore all of Sam's discomfort.
Right,
when he's frustrated, that means he wants to hear more.
Some truth to that.
Okay, is he frustrated?
No, go ahead, Dan.
Go
ahead, Dan. Let's go.
All right, thanks. The first is, I pay for a membership to the Majority Report. I don't pay a membership to Jimmy Dore, but I listen to both. And I've heard you really razz on Jimmy Dore, but there's one thing that he said that I think rings true. And if I started, I almost bet you could finish the phrase because I've heard you guys razz on him all the time.
Dan, let me say this. I hope there's at least one thing that he says that's true.
Okay, let me try this then. Let's see what you think.
I'm suspect of
that. He constantly says the Democrats would rather lose to Trump than win with a progressive. Have you heard him say that?
I know he said that. I think that's true for maybe some of them. Like, I think maybe a guy like Horse Whisperer who works for Exxon and Eli Lilly and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think,
he's a clown.
I think that's true for him. But do I think that's true for the vast majority of Democrats? Do I think that's true for more than 75% of the Democrats? Absolutely not.
Okay, what about, like, say, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer?
I don't know about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I don't know. I mean, I think we can test that proposition, but there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, we can. We can.
There's no doubt in my mind that yes, there are some Democrats who are like, I've lived through 4 years of Trump. I got my tax cuts, probably they would say, I would have to guess. And they are afraid of someone like Bernie Sanders. I think maybe even you could probably find a small subset that would also be afraid of Elizabeth Warren. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, true.
But you know what? There was supposedly, a lot of Republicans who said, like, I would rather, have Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. I mean, none of that should be a surprise.
I think I want to say, I think I'll meet somewhere in the middle, but anybody that was on the list of that New York Times meeting reporting that came out in April of, meetings with Neera Tanden and Nancy Pelosi and Pete Buttigieg was at some of them that were literally specifically focused on stopping Bernie Sanders. I don't know if I would necessarily say that all the people in those meetings would prefer Trump to Bernie. That's a jump, but they are certainly people who are deranged enough to, be conspiring against Bernie at a time when, frankly, they could support their own candidates and just move forward and think about a general election.
Yes.
There is a number of people.
Show me the political party, though, that is not going to be, that is not going to try and lie against someone who is threatening to completely upset the apple cart.
No doubt about that. And it's important for people to recognize.
And the fact, I would say this, the fact that there's such a concerted effort to stop Bernie
is a good sign.
Indicates to me that the problem they realize is that we've got to support him in the general over Trump. I mean,
well, there's also, I think there's also, I think the big thing to watch is the degree and the intensity. Like there was a lot of people who, and I think this might actually change when Britain goes for elections, but in 2017, you know, people like Tony Blair were like, I vote Labor. I always vote Labor. As in, yes, I'm going to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. But they did everything they could to undermine that performance to the point where they clearly would prefer a conservatives win.
And look, we know that what was it, 25% of Clinton voters did not vote for Barack Obama in 2008. And so this is a dynamic that's not, I mean, people, you know, I think there was 12% of Bernie people who last time you know, didn't support Clinton. So there's always going to be a segment of a part. I mean, look, you tell me, like, how many people do you hear threaten not to vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump? I mean, look, that dynamic exists. It exists, you know, on all different sides. I mean, there, you know, if somebody invited me to a meeting on how to stop Joe Biden, I'd go. You know what I mean? Like, I go.
Yeah, me too. Is there nosh at the meeting?
So one thing the party could do, though, is get over its romance with people like Mike Bloomberg and Ana Navarro, who absolutely not vote for Bernie over Trump.
I actually have to say,
they put him on.
I have no defense of Michael Bloomberg. I hate Michael Bloomberg. I'll put my dislike of him against anybody. That clip that was going around of Bloomberg not committing to endorse everybody, I have to say, by Bloomberg standards, was shockingly open.
I think Bloomberg is going to pull a trigger for
when Michael Bloomberg said every single person in the Democratic field running for president is better than Trump.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, that's more unequivocal than you will hear from people who have superficially better reputations.
When you say
him.
Look, they invited Michael Bloomberg to the convention. It was stupid. It was dumb. And it was like they thought they were being cute by half, and et cetera, et cetera. But when you talk about like the Democratic Party's embrace of Ana Navarro, like I would bet you that 90
people like her.
Okay, well, I mean, but like whom? Like, I mean, I think like the point is like
suburban moderates. That famous quote from our friend Chuck Schumer.
Yes,
right. Well, that was my point. Is I think they were trying to fashion I think the Democratic leadership was trying to fashion a win.
And how'd that go for them?
It blew up in their face. And so, I mean, I think like, I guess what I take issue with is this notion of the Democrats. Like, you know, like the Democrats in 15 years could easily be AOC and Justice Democrats throughout the leadership.
Oh, and we'll be talking about them differently then.
Maybe, hopefully.
I think easily might be a jump, because I think the establishment Democrats are going to fight it tooth and nail.
Of course. Nobody wants to give up power. Of course.
This whole part of politics I get confused about.